Okay, Matt, we're recording. What did you want to tell the people at home?
Nothing. I just wanted to welcome all the ag heads back into the podcast.
Is that it?
Yeah, they're you're an ag head, I'm an ag head, and all our fans, they're the ag heads.
All right. Thanks, Matt.
Yeah, thank you. So it's good to have gotten in our third episode to have gotten the worst cold open out of the way, so that
Yeah, I'm glad we did that.
in the future we know that they're all going to be better than that one.
Expectations can only go up.
And that's something that the ag heads really know. Adventure game heads.
Nope. I don't like it.
We call them the Leisure Suit Crew.
Done. That's what you're called now. Enjoy. What's up, my Leisure Suit Crew? Everyone, Pushing Up Roses here. I am back with my special boy, my precious little boy, and co-host, Matt Aucamp. Hi, Matt.
What up, eggheads? It's
my
me,
God.
Matt Aucamp.
That's a very interesting last name. Like, what is that?
Aucamp?
Yeah.
It's
like, what heritage is that?
It's sort of German. There was this project I had to do for German class in high school where it was like everyone was supposed to research the origins of your last name and then come and like let everybody know, like, oh, I'm French, so my last name is from the archaic French word for this and the whatever. My last name, when I went to research it, this was on early days of the internet, right? Like this was early 2000s, and I couldn't find anything. And years and years and years later, I would revisit the question and find out that very likely it was a French name, Auchamp, and then a bunch of French people moved to Germany, and then somewhere between their living in Germany and their moving over to the United States, changed to Aucamp. Now, then I've seen conflicting evidence for that, but anybody look at my face and think French, and you'll be like, oh yeah, that guy's French.
Really? We don't have a picture of you. We haven't scanned one in.
I know there's no picture on the internet, so if you just picture a French man
with a beret
and like just maybe like a little Irish.
I think you look like the Curse of Monkey Island Guybrush Threepwood. That's how I view you when like who I'm talking to right now is essentially Guybrush Threepwood, just so you know.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I guess I have a little bit of a Guybrush vibe. I've got this. We share a hair.
Well, whose vibe do I give off?
That's
a loaded question.
You know, in the Fraggles.
Yes.
That big lady made of trash.
I can't believe you. I can't believe this. Okay.
No, I think like you're like you give off like Elvira on the weekends.
Oh yeah. But during the week I'm the trash lady? I'm the trash mom.
No, I'm just saying during the week when she's wearing her business attire.
Okay, you heard it here. I compared Matt to Guybrush Threepwood, and he compared me to a trash monster.
So, Roses,
awesome.
What have you been playing?
So, well, actually, this is going to be a great segue into what we're talking about today. We have been playing a lot of demos for Next Fest, right? And that kind of inspired me to do a few other things. I'm actually quite interested now, and I haven't had the time to play it yet, but I played the demo for Death of the Reprobate. And now the dev is going to send me keys for his other games.
Oh.
And I've watched a few videos on it, and I can't believe how well that works. I just can't. I can't. It's so bizarre. I've never seen a more bizarre looking game. And I think like as an artist, If you guys don't know what those are, the Joe Richardson games, he uses Renaissance style, not style, I'm so sorry. He actually takes images from Renaissance paintings and animates them and puts them in games. And
Yeah.
they're very funny. They're very well done. The animations are, I guess, what you could call crude, but also crack me up. Also, I think they're hilarious.
All his games are just so funny. I mean, I remember looking at the premise and thinking it was going to be just like, it was like an interesting art style. Like the art style was funny, but expecting just the most kind of basic, simplistic point and click game, and then expecting the humor to sort of be, kind of puerile. Instead, what I got were these like really thoughtful and interesting point and click games, because this is his third. Death of the Reprobate is his third. He's done 2 other games. He's done Procession to Calvary and 4 Last Things. It's called his what's the name of the trilogy?
Oh, he has a name for the trilogy now.
It's called the Immortal John trilogy, because like that is a character in the game.
I find that my humor style really aligns with these games because I mostly, for the most part, do what I would say more wholesome humor, goofy humor, like Wayne's World. But then I'll hit you with like a fisting joke. It'll come out of nowhere. And that's what makes it funny.
You definitely don't want fisting to come out of nowhere. You want to spend a lot of time preparing.
You don't. Yeah, this is a public service announcement. Always be prepared. And what have you been into, Matt?
I've also been playing just so many of these demos, and like I said last episode, the one that's kind of hooked me and I'm just like spending hours and hours in is this Islands of Insight demo, which the full game just came out today.
Ooh, yay.
And I've been playing it, and it rules. And yeah, this will be released about a week from now. So hopefully you guys have been on Islands of Insight playing with me.
Wait, that's around. The MMO.
Yeah, this is the MMO.
Oh, you're still into it.
Oh man, cool. I love it so much.
You want to do a let's play? You want to do a let's play on this game where we just fart around in this adventure game world?
That might be fun. Other than that, I've been, and this is another like obsessive game of mine, because I think between all these demos, I just wanted to play stuff that I could just kind of meld into and let my brain turn off. So I've also been playing for like the 4th time. I've been playing Lies of P, that Pinocchio Dark Souls like game.
Ooh, that sounds fun.
Yeah, it's like a Dark Souls game, only you are basically Pinocchio. And you're like
dream.
This handsome little robotic puppet boy just carving through hundreds and hundreds of enemies, and incredibly difficult boss fights. When you beat that game, you get to start over from the beginning of the game, but you don't lose your levels or your weapons. So you're just extra powerful.
Nice.
And playing a Dark Souls-like game with this like extra power. So it's like, you feel so cool just being able to tear through a Souls-like without having to worry about dying every, 5 minutes.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, that's what I've been doing. Just to chill, listen to audiobooks, and just carve up some puppets.
I've also been playing Stardew Valley, but we're not going to talk about it this time. Because Matt says I talk about it too much. So, we're not going to talk about it.
We have so much to talk about with these Next Fest games. So why don't we wrap up the segment like now-ish? And then we're going to come back. Right when
I mentioned Stardew Valley? Yeah, sure.
Yeah, let's wrap up now. And we are going to come back. We're going to talk about a ton of fucking Next Fest demos. We've played so many.
Woo!
And then we're going to cap off the show. We're going to talk to Julia Minamata about her game, Crimson Diamond, and then just about some other random junk.
Yes.
So, Roses, roll that break music.
Man, I love this music though. Swanky Maximino. I mean, how can one resist?
How was your break?
It was great. I finished a protein shake. I'm sorry, are you asking the audience like you were last time? Or are you
No, this time I'm
asking me?
asking you. Keep
Thank
up.
you. Thank you for caring. Yeah.
And
I
then
had
next time
protein
I'll ask
shake.
the audience, and then the time after that I'll ask you. You just got to keep track of this. Maybe
Please.
maybe make a little
Document.
that you can check.
Please stop toying with my emotions. I need to know if people want to know how I'm doing.
How was your protein shake?
It was good, and it was chocolate banana because I am getting swole.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah. So I can be fast and a good jumper like you.
Oh man. There's nothing that's better than that. So Next Fest 2024 is every year Steam does this. We talked about this last episode, but just as a quick introduction, every year Steam does this like week of demos and live streams and developer commentaries and stuff. It's just basically they call it like a celebration of what you can expect in the future.
Mm-hmm.
So there was a ton of adventure games in Steam Next Fest this year, and me and Roses, we played a shit ton of them. Roses, how many did you play? Because I know mine is going to be an embarrassingly high number.
You played way more than me.
So
I played around 10, which is a lot of demos to play in like
I agree.
a short period of time. Yeah.
I played
and how many did you?
26. I played 26 of them.
You played 26 demos?
I played 26 demos.
How are things going in your life, Matt? Or do you need a friend? Or I'm kidding.
There were so many really good ones, and before we get into, we're going to talk about a ton of them today. We brought up a couple last episode, and if you want to, you can go back and check episode 2, where we talk about these ones. But I would just real quickly, I want to say the first ones that stood out to me the most were Botany Manor, Cabernet, Islands of Insight is the MMO, which I talked about in the intro segment. It's so good. It's so good. I really love this game.
I'm glad.
Again, the story is barely there. It is somewhere on the spectrum between embarrassingly obtuse and non-existent. Like, it's somewhere on that spectrum, but the puzzle, it's just so fun to run around and have an infinite number of puzzles to solve. I'm
gonna go
I'm
play
loving it so much. And did we talk about Sky of Tides last time?
We did. Yeah, we talked about the four demos that you had already played.
Why don't we roll into talking about some that you've played, Roses?
Sure. So one that I am very excited about is, I think I mentioned that, I probably have already mentioned this a bajillion times and don't even realize it, is the MS Cornelia II Incident.
Right.
First of all, the screen caps got me hooked immediately. It looks very classic. Point and click, very classic, older King's Quest. Would you agree? Like the old, like King's Quest 1 era.
Yeah, I'd say, it's got like Codename Iceman kind of vibes.
I know, which kind of frightened me at first because we're not into submarine simulators over here at this podcast necessarily. But yes, it gave me those vibes of being on an island, being very secluded. Very interesting thing about this game is it just kind of pushes you right in. No story, no intro. You're just there. You're just on an island, and you've got to find certain clues to unlock your memories to figure out who you are. And it's not a very long demo, but it was enough that it very, very genuinely, I'm very intrigued to keep playing this game. I really want to figure it out.
I found it challenging, actually.
Yeah, I
found
did too.
So not only are there seemingly like inventory puzzles, there's also this mechanic, like Rose is saying, where you try to unlock your memories by highlighting certain words, and then you go
little
into
hidden objecty, right?
Yeah, and then you sort of go into this brain palace where it asks you questions, and you have to once you get enough clues, you sort of put together, like you piece together the answer.
Yeah.
Using the clues.
It is a little bit of a challenge, I will say that, but I will also say because it does throw you in and you're not quite sure what you're meant to be doing, as soon as you got that gameplay down, as soon as you know, oh, I gotta look for letters. I gotta scroll over things and see if there's clues. Then it became like a little bit easier for me once I understood that that is one of the core mechanics.
And if you like chunky pixel art, it's
Oh God, I
beautiful.
love it. I have a type, Matt. When it
Yeah,
comes to adventure games, I got a type.
chunky,
Chunky,
chunky blocks of color.
like
Uh,
super high contrast, murder mystery vibes.
so I want to talk about a game that I played called Please Touch the Artwork 2. And now
Go
I
for it.
never played Please Touch the Artwork
Oh,
1.
interesting.
It's kind of like a hidden object game, and
Mhm.
but with like a point and click system, right? You control a character, a cartoony kind of looking character on screen. You click around, he goes where you walk.
Yeah.
But you encounter characters who are just the objects of paintings, and it's all based on the works of Belgium's famous painter James Ensor. You talk to people from his paintings, and then they give you some amount of an object you need to find, and then you walk back through the paintings and try and find that number of that object.
Uh-huh.
And in addition, there's this other mechanic where sometimes you come across rips in the paintings, and you
Mhm.
have to repair them with this, casual little game that's like what do you call those games where it's like you're trying to draw a shape without ever retracing your steps?
It's like doing a continuous line.
Doing a continuous line, yeah. And
Yeah.
it's like that. And once you solve, I think like two of those in a row, it fixes the painting and then you can progress. It's really silly and fun. And uh I was really impressed by it.
It honestly looks very cozy. It's
Yeah,
like I
it
want to
was
dive
cozy.
into this. Yeah.
And the developer's name is Thomas Waterzoy, and I'm probably mispronouncing that. But it's
Sorry,
like the word
Thomas.
water, the word zoo, and then the letter I.
I'm gonna bring up the chicken police into the
Oh
hive
my god, yeah.
because, yeah, because I didn't know that there were other chicken police games. Am I right in saying that there are others?
There is one other Chicken Police
Okay,
game. It was released a few years ago.
got it.
I think maybe 2021 or 2020. Yeah, it's 2020 it was released by the Wild Gentleman
Oh,
is
wild.
the that's
Yes,
the
come hit
name
me
of
up.
the dev. The first one was called Paint It Red.
I played the demo for their next game, which is called
Mhm.
Into Chicken Police Into the Hive.
Right.
And once again, I have a type. Like I know when a game is just going to grab me immediately
Yeah.
and it's going to be that 1920s hard-boiled noir type of a thing. It does help that there's animals in it as an animal a huge animal lover. But especially birds. So,
Yeah,
um
it's like photorealistic
yeah.
animal heads on human bodies, which is
What an
it's
interesting aesthetic.
it's really hard to get used to at first, but you sink into it in a way. Maybe not hard, but it
Yeah.
seems it's odd. It's like supposed to be odd and it feels odd at first, but you
Yeah.
sink into it so fast that when like some uh dude with a fox head shows up, you don't you don't even think about it. You're just like, "Oh, there's
Yeah.
fox guy."
That's the world building, you know, it sets
Yeah.
up this world. I love that you can play it in black and white.
So the first game was all black and white, and this game
Nice.
adds a color mode, which is
Yeah.
awesome. Like it's very cool.
That is cool. It's awesome that they did that. I still chose black and white because I
Right.
wanted that heavy noir feel. Love the voice acting. Just sounds great. And I didn't obviously I only played a demo, so I didn't play too many puzzles. Right now they're
Yeah.
pretty fine. They're fine. You know, I am more interested in this world, in this crazy world
Yeah.
of chicken police, you know?
So the main there is some inventory puzzles in the Chicken Police games, but the main thing is interviews.
Yeah. Or like
You
interrogations, I guess.
interrogations, right? So
Yeah.
like in this demo you talk to a bunch of people, and the conversations can go a number of ways, but the main mechanic, like I think the most interesting mechanic of the chicken police games is the interrogation, where you have
Yeah.
specific goals and you have to coax specific information out of informants. And the
Yeah.
game ends teasingly immediately before, like, you say you're about to start an interrogation and then it fades to black and it's like, thanks for playing the demo. Okay, so I played a very weird game.
Oh boy.
This game looks so much weirder in screenshots than the demo actually was. So I
Hmm.
imagine this game gets much, much weirder. It's called Indika.
Yeah.
Um,
I doped
it's
out of that one, man. Like, I was
yeah.
like, nope.
If you look at the trailer to that, it looks unbelievably frightening. The game itself that I played was like tense, and
Okay.
there were scary moments, but I was never scared while playing the game. It's
That's
got a
good.
very it's by developer Odd Meter. It
Hmm.
takes place in some kind of like alternate Russia. It's got a very Last of Us kind of vibe. Really heavily realistically rendered 3D, third person.
Like Uncanny Valley almost. Like I'm getting that
Yes.
it's real but not real. There's something wrong.
Right. So all the sequences I played, everything was very realistic, but based on the trailers and the screenshots and stuff, it seems as if the Uncanny Valley is part of what makes it scary. Um,
Right.
and so the part of the demo that I played, you are a nun who was kidnapped by it seems like some ex-soldier,
Okay.
and you're taking him to where he wants to go. And as you're passing through these like little Russian towns, something bad has happened, and we don't know what. They mention possession.
Oh, I like
Uh,
that.
so it's sort of steampunky, but very light on the steampunk. But so you're riding this like steampunk motorcycle kind of, and it's making this weird sort of 16-bit noise. And I was thinking something else in my house somehow was playing this noise because it doesn't fit with the game. And there's all these other things like when you find certain things in the game, you get these like very pixelated rewards. And
Hmm.
so it has these really incongruous elements where you're playing the super realistic game and suddenly this very retro aesthetic pops up. So you start to find out that this nun has a lot of guilt about something and you don't really know what it is. But when you end up by yourself at some point, you start being like interrogated and maybe tortured by this demonic voice in your head
Good
that's like
lord.
mocking you. And he has this power to alter reality, but if you pray, his voice goes away and reality goes back to normal. So he might stretch out a room, and then you might be able to progress further than you were, and then you pray and the room
Oh.
compresses again, and now you can reach, say, a platform you couldn't before. And so you climb
That
up onto
the
the
way you're
platform.
describing this is scary though. Like that
Yeah.
sounds tense to me.
If you have uh, a lot of religious superstition, I think this game's going to be instantly scary to you. If you're
Okay.
not very faithful, I think it's going to feel tense, like you're waiting for something to jump out of nowhere. It's very weird. I hope that I've communicated strongly enough that this game is strange and there's all sorts of elements to it that just are, I think, intentionally incongruous with each other. I've never played anything like it. The closest thing, again, is The Last of Us, but that does not encompass it. That's just sort of like the visual style and the narrative style. And then, yeah, there's this puzzle platformy element. What's your next game?
My next game is because I just can't get enough of detective animals is Duck Detective: The Secret Salami. This game is adorable. I cannot stress to you enough. The visual style, your character looks like a little cutout sprite. It is so cute.
You look like
The
a
voice
sticker.
acting, you look like a sticker. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
true. The voice acting, top tier. I was so impressed, but also it's funny. I actually found myself definitely laughing at a few, just especially at our character, the duck
Yeah.
detective, who is seemingly going through some heartache, as the hard boiled detective usually is.
Right.
And but also is trying to figure out these kind of, I don't want to say petty cases, but they're wholesome. They're wholesome cases. They're not,
Because he's a bread addict.
yeah, he's on the loaf. And it's simple so far, right? Because all I've played is a demo, but
Mhm.
I like the way the puzzles work. It is a mystery puzzle thing. It's about observation. It's about taking in the clues and like putting things together to unravel more of the story. It's
Yeah, do you
sort
want
of,
to describe that mechanic a little bit?
so I was going to actually explain it like it kind of reminded me of Contradiction. I know I don't think you've played that one, Matt, but
I haven't.
basically, so like you'll have a sentence with like blanks in it, right?
Mhm.
It'll be like Sally was upset because blank on her blank, which sound phrasing I know. But essentially you'll have this sentence that you need to figure out and identify correctly. So you
Yeah.
go around your setting, you look for those clues, those words, and then you kind of put that sentence together, and hopefully it'll make sense. Hopefully you're doing it with intention and not just like clicking words everywhere.
Yeah.
Hopefully you've looked at everything and you're like, oh yeah, Sally worked on Tuesday because the calendar said Tuesday. You know what I mean? So
Right.
I really like it. I think it's accessible. Again, once again, I feel like I'm being pleasantly surprised by these demos because the screen caps just don't, I don't know, they don't do, the screen caps don't do
Yeah.
it for me. I have to play it.
Absolutely. And on that same train, speaking of animal detectives and speaking of
So
fill in
many.
the word mysteries, and I just want to take a second to say you seem into it, but I think we've had enough animal detective games. Like
Can't
there's
get enough.
I think it's called Tales now. What was that game called? With the badger. Everyone was really upset about the way that it ended. Backbone.
Oh, okay. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And they changed the name to Tails to try and avoid um,
Whoa.
the backlash. It's
Got
actually
it.
really messed up in the way that they handled the Kickstarter's bad. Anyway,
Oof.
so yeah, there's Tails, there's
Brock, the
Frog Detective, there's Brock the
that's so
Investigator,
cute.
there's Chicken Police, there's
There's one that's a
Doc,
cat, right?
Lord, yeah, there's a bunch that are a cat.
Yeah.
There's 9 Noir Lives.
Oh man.
There's Lord Wigglebottom Investigates. It's just there's so many. There's definitely other things you could do besides make a detective animal. If you
Yeah.
are a person listening to this developing a new detective animal game, just change the sprite to something else. We have too many. It's ridiculous. Anyway,
Matt
so
is upset.
this game's about a turtle detective called called
Anyway,
Turlock.
I felt like we
Called
just went anyway. Here's Wonderwall.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's called Turlock Holmes, and it's
Mhm.
basically a word game where you get a paragraph about something that happened. Like, a boy was found dead on the street in nothing but his underwear. He had an umbrella next to him, but it wasn't raining. What happened?
Yeah.
And
Oh, it sounds like a math question, doesn't it? Like a little
and
bit.
right, and you get a bunch of blanks, and the blanks are different colors, and it's like the red are the most integral parts of the story that you don't get for free. The white
Mhm.
is like uh of and or the,
Yeah.
and it goes up, and then there's like yellow, and then there's blue, and you can click on any of these words and try and guess them, and you'll know how many letters are in the word. And sometimes as you solve certain words, it will give you certain letters for other
Right.
words, so you have a place to start from. And if you can't figure it out at all, you can do basically a sporkle on it. You can click on
Okay.
the word and it'll let you do like a sporkle.
So I will say this towards like animal detectives and stuff like
Yeah.
that. The way that this is being described, and I did watch some Let's Play so I could be in the know about what I'm
Okay.
looking at.
Yeah.
I will say that this game, Turlock Holmes, seems to be more emphasized. It is like a word game type
Yeah.
of a thing. And I will say for Duck Detective, the animals and the cuteness of them and talking to them, it does matter. It's even a little more egregious, right? It's kind of aligned with other like cutesy detective games where I think Turlock Holmes is more puzzle driven. or at least logic puzzle driven.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Turlock Holmes is more just like a mascot in the game.
Exactly.
All right, what's your next game?
So I would like to bring up a game called Prim.
Okay.
And I feel that this game was made for me. The demo is not too long and it's not too involved. I love the art style. It's very illustrative, pen and ink, very gothic. You are playing Death's daughter, which I think is amazing and fun. Something I took note of right away in that game was the music. I felt like, man, I don't even know. There's a familiarity to it. I felt like I was playing like another Monkey Island or another Grimm or something, where the music just felt so nice to
Yeah.
listen to. The character design intrigued me. The art style absolutely intrigues me. The mechanics are accessible and easy to use. There's only one thing that's maybe a little bit of a negative for me, and this is personal preference, you guys. I thought the voice acting was almost too emphatic. I don't know
Okay.
how you felt about it.
I played this demo a couple years ago. I don't know
Okay.
if the demo's been updated since then.
Okay.
But I can't remember what the voice acting felt like.
For me, it went a little over the top, and that sometimes takes me out of a game. And this happens with adventure games pretty frequently. Sometimes dialogue is just, it can get a strain to listen
Yeah.
to, because you are spending energy listening and paying attention to this dialogue. So if it's a little bit too much, a good example is Toonstruck. Very emphatic voice acting. Granted, I like that game a lot, but it can be a drain on your energy to
Right.
listen to Tress McNeil play a happy little bunny for 2 hours. You know what I mean?
Right. This is what I'll say about Prim. If you liked the Daedalic games, I think Prim is worth checking out. It's cartoony. I think it's a little better than a lot of the Daedalic games, but it's got a similar kind of style. It's by Application Systems Heidelberg. It's been in development for a while, and I'm not sure. It has a 2024 release date, but that has been pushed back before. So
Okay.
I don't know when we can actually expect it, but hopefully this year. I know this is like a very highly anticipated game for a lot of people.
All right. What do you got?
Okay, let's see. I played so many roses. I want to talk about real quick. I'm going to do a couple real fast. Is that all right?
That's
Games that I
totally
have
fine.
maybe one or two things to say about, and that's it.
Totally fine.
Okay, so I played Queer Quest, which was it was a cute little point and click adventure made by Queermo Games, and those two things together should give you a hint of what you're in for. It's very much LGBTQ pageantry, right? It's a celebration.
It's a celebration. Yes, definitely.
The one thing I want to mention about Queer Quest is they put music with lyrics.
Oh no, that's
as
rough.
the background music. And it drove me crazy because I'm trying to read dialogue and then I'm just like, my brain's also processing what these lyrics are. Like, I can't read and listen to music with lyrics at the same time. Unless it's a song I've heard 1,000 times, which maybe this has apparently been in development for a long time. So maybe these developers have heard this music so many times, the lyrics just disappear into the sound for them. But this is going to be new music for anybody who's playing it.
Yeah. Well, I hear what you're saying, because it is not voice acting as far as we know. Yeah. So we are trying to get the information of reading the dialogue while this voiced music also plays. So that's a little tough.
Yeah. I want to mention also Mutants Ate My Carrots, which is a very sort of standard point and click. It's again kind of cute. You play a really muscly, angry rabbit who had all his special black carrots eaten, and now you're on a quest to find who took them and get them back. The interesting thing about Mutants Ate My Carrots is that in addition to inventory items, you also find physical attacks, types of punches and kicks and stuff.
Oh, okay.
And some of those you can use on the environment to get through obstacles, and most of them you use on other characters. So when you come across a character that you can fight, they will have a certain number of dots above their head, and each of
Mhm.
those dots is one more thing you have to solve. So the thing you have to solve might be just using the right punch on them. Or the thing you have to solve might be you have to distract them in order to get your first hit in.
So it's kind of a hybrid almost. Like it is an adventure game, but they do have other mechanics going on.
Yeah, unlike say Brock, which was like a legitimate beat 'em up where you hit buttons and to punch and kick, this one has you just select them from your
Right.
inventory bar. So it's like just making them part of your inventory, which is interesting. The other one I'll mention real quickly and then I'll throw over to you is Back to Hearth. This was strange. I don't know how I feel about this game. So I honestly don't know if I'm giving it a recommendation or not, but I did
Okay.
want to talk about it because I think it was interesting. It's by Podobo Interactive and the Marivo Collective, and
Okay.
it's a 3D game using very basic 3D assets, sort of almost like a PlayStation 2 sort of
Right.
feel, and you're revisiting this. It almost looks like you're coming back to a home in the American South after the Dust Bowl
Hmm.
blows over, and you have to clean up your yard. The tasks you do are really not fun, but it seems to
Okay.
be hinting at a much deeper and more interesting story. And what I think
Mhm.
was really impressive about it was just how atmospheric the game was. It
I was
definitely
gonna say
puts you in a world.
it's a little mist-like. There's that intrigue of your settings.
There's not really puzzles to solve. There's just really tasks
Right.
to do.
Right.
Um, it'll definitely wrap you up in its ambiance. Okay, your turn.
I just want to touch on this game very briefly because this was the last game I played on my demo list. It's called An English Haunting.
Ooh, yeah.
And I didn't get a chance really to go through it the way I wanted to. I ended up this is not on the game. It's not boring. I didn't fall asleep. But I have got to say, once again, I have a type, and that's what it is. That pixel art, that animation
Oh my
is
god.
gorgeous. What in the world? It's so beautiful.
I'm having trouble thinking of a game with that gorgeous, like Backbone, maybe.
God, it
Yeah,
is
that's
just
that's what I can think of. Like,
gorgeous.
I can't think of another game except for yeah, maybe Backbone that has that beautiful of pixel art.
Yeah,
Um,
it's I love the talk. Everyone's talking, so their mouths and necks are quote moving. You know, as much as
mhm,
you can in a
yeah.
pixel art. I re brought up the screenshots now because I just think it's so beautiful. I really
Yeah, it's just like intricate pixel arts with modern lighting effects. Again, much like Backbone. I don't know why
yeah.
that's coming up so much in this episode. I mean, Backbone's very relevant right now. I guess. Oh, sorry. Tails.
Tails, get it right. Jeez. You know what it kind of reminded me of, just very slightly, is the Trilby series, the Chose Mythos series.
Yes, I could see that.
Yeah, just based on the gameplay, a little bit of the dialogue, a very slightly aesthetic as well. But like as I was like reading, as I picked stuff up and I was reading, it kind of gave me that vibe. It also gave me a little bit, I don't know if you've played this one, Matt, but Clock Tower vibes. It gave me like, ooh,
Okay.
I'm in a scary place and I don't like it. You know what I mean?
I mean, yeah, this was one of the most impressive demos I think I played. I think up there with Botany Manor and Cabernet,
Yeah.
and I think this is one of those games that I'm going to play the moment it comes out.
Yeah, I can't get enough of it.
I imagine these are games that you guys will be hearing about from us on this podcast again later when their full games are out.
Yeah.
That's by the developer Postmodern Adventures, an
Okay.
English Haunting.
It's just another game that's made for me. I just
Um,
assume that these devs are making games for me because they like me.
very quickly, the premise of an English Haunting is that you are a professor at a college that's part of their metaphysics department,
Yeah.
and
Hmm.
there has been some sort of controversy with your partner, and you have 72 hours to prove that ghosts exist, or they're going to shut down the metaphysics the metaphysics department.
And
And
keep in mind, our character doesn't believe in ghosts. He is a skeptic. Right? I got that right? He's
that
the
did
skeptic, right?
not I didn't get that. I know maybe there's some line of dialogue that I missed.
Did I misread? I'm sorry if I misread the intro.
One of us is right, one of us is wrong, and the only way you can know is by playing an English Haunting.
He's just very like scientifically minded, scientific method. These are our tools and everything.
Yeah.
Has like he asked his students in the beginning if they believed in God, and he's like, well, where's the supporting evidence? So that to me read that like he's not going to believe in ghosts. He would need evidence.
What I got from that is that he was saying that denying the existence of ghosts is silly if you are a person who is of another faith, who has any sort of faith.
Okay, got it.
But I can see exactly where you got that from. But I
My
think,
bad.
I think he believes that there's a scientific explanation for ghosts, and that's the reason for the metaphysics department. Let's talk about Gloomy Juncture.
Yes, let's.
So this is an interesting little game. It's by Subtales Studio. The dev actually reached out to us on Twitter. I had already played their game by the time they messaged us, but it is okay. It's first person 3D, but everything is like it's made out of cardboard. Everything's kind of blocky, and it's like the details have been drawn on in marker.
Which I love. Just as an artist, as a drawer, as a painter, I really think it's cool. I found that part of the game very highly engaging.
Yeah, the art was incredible. I was really impressed by it. I got a little stuck on some of the early puzzles. I had a little trouble figuring out the way to navigate the environment. Like the puzzles weren't tough, but figuring out where stuff was, like searching the environment was a little tough. The last puzzle of the demo is a sort of obnoxious type of puzzle that made me laugh out loud, and I loved it, which is you have to determine where certain color blocks go by tracing a really, really complicated tangle of wires across the ceiling. And that's just such a... It's like when the boulder in a Dark Souls game comes out of nowhere and crushes your character, and you're like, how was I supposed to know? It's like the sort of thing where you feel like the developer's like making fun of you. And it made me laugh out loud. And I really appreciated that.
Again, this is a personal preference. This is not a reflection on the game. I am not a big fan of first-person adventure games in general. I think people know that by now. It is not my favorite thing. I don't know. It's a brain thing. Like, I get mixed up. I get confused. Like, I feel stupid. So that kind of threw me a little bit. But if that's something you don't mind, I mean, there's always going to be exceptions to the rules. So Firewatch was first person too, and I love that game.
Right.
So I am eager to see where this game goes. I did find it to be a little crass, and this is coming from somebody who made a fisting joke.
Yeah, I mean, your first task is to clean up puke, and then there's a lot of drug references. You're in a very dingy, kind of shitty, like kitchen. That seems to be part of some really like seedy establishment. But it gets very, what do you want to say? Psychedelic almost?
Yes. Yeah. Psychedelic. Sure.
Yeah. It gets kind of dreamlike and surreal by the end of the demo.
I think I need to see and play a little bit more of it for me to be like, I love it. You know, I mean,
right.
The English Haunting's the only one where I basically joygasmed over an adventure game. So you've got big shoes to fill if you're not an English Haunting.
If you're not an English Haunting. I'm going to blaze through a couple once again. Okay.
Right, speed run, Matt.
Speed run. Okay. Okay. So Death Trick Double Blind is by Misty Mountain Studio, and it's like a visual novel kind of deal where you're a woman who is, you can read minds maybe, and you're a magician, and you're trying to solve the death of a magician of another female magician, or disappearance of another female magician at some carnival by taking her place, and seeing who that draws out. And at the same time, you're switching between that person and a detective who has been hired to investigate this woman's murder by this circus. it has a very Phoenix Wright sort of deal, because again, it's a visual novel, but you can present items and topics and characters in conversation, and they'll
Mhm.
have different effects, so you can look for contradictions the same way you can
Nice.
yell objection in Phoenix Wright. In each conversation you can only do so much. You have ability points, so you have to pick and choose the things you talk about judiciously. I played a game called Daemon Masquerade by Callum Page. Is that
Okay.
the developer?
Let me look it up. Keep talking and I will look it up.
Okay. Uh, and it seemed to. The problem with this one, it was like a kind of a comic booky art style. The problem with this demo is it's very short, and it kind of just walks you through the tutorial. And as
Ah,
soon as the thing starts to get interesting, the demo cuts off. So I'm interested in seeing where this game goes, but basically you are this child who's a subject in some research facility, and you're solving puzzles.
mhm.
Like, that's the thing, they give you puzzles and you put them together as like you solve them as quick as you can. But then on like the third day, I think the director comes in and hands you a criminal case and says, here's another puzzle, solve this, which is a really interesting idea. Right, you being like some sort of gifted, some sort of special or superhuman or gifted child,
Yeah.
who your abilities are being used in this completely different way to solve criminal cases. Like, that sounds really interesting, but you don't really get to solve any of the actual cases
Got
in
it.
this demo.
Got it. I
So
also see that is anime inspired, so it has a little bit of an aesthetic to it.
yeah, it's got a little anime, definitely comic booky for sure.
Yeah,
Yeah, and that is by Callum Page.
it is. Yeah.
Oh, speed run. Okay, I played Exit I played Exit, a Biodelic Adventure, which I would call like, okay, it is a point and click adventure. It takes place in like a futuristic world, and as opposed to cyberpunk, this is like yucky punk.
Yucky.
Gooey
Well,
punk,
did we just create a new genre? Yucky
or
punk.
organopunk, like biopunk maybe is a good word for it. It's like
Biopunk.
you are in this like alien world, or maybe it's Earth in the far future, but everything's been taken over by like biological technology. So everything's squishy and organ like, and it's sort of like 2.5D, where there's 2D backgrounds and then kind of like 3D modeled characters. It looks really
Mhm.
cool. It's difficult because they don't really explain to you what all these weird biotechnology things are. You just kind of have
Yeah.
to figure it out, and some of it is intuitive and some of it is not, and it's all really yucky. It's very strange. If you like really weird shit, if you like yuck punk,
Yuck punk.
yuck punk
Matt, would
games.
you like to join my yuck punk band?
That's, yeah, Exit, a Biodelic Adventure.
Nice. So the last game I want to talk about is Death of the Reprobate by Joe Richardson. And I had not played these games before. So the demo is kind of what got me into it. And Matt kind of encouraged me to play.
Yeah.
Because we were kind of talking. We were looking at like screenshots and you're like, oh, this looks hilarious. I'm like, it does not. This does not look hilarious. Oh, no, really. I was like a little
Yeah.
judgy. But I'm like, you know what? Somebody worked super hard at this, and I'm going to see what it's all about. And upon playing it, I very much appreciate the humor. It's it's so funny. The graphics are so interesting. I love the way characters dance. So like let's talk about what it's. You know what? I'm not even sure what it's about because it's so
You
it's so
you
great.
play you
You have to like
play
do tasks for your ill dying father, right?
Yeah, so your
Yeah.
father is Immortal John, who is like the holy emperor of this Renaissance land, this absurd Renaissance land, who again is made up entirely of Renaissance paintings. The backgrounds are all
Yes.
Renaissance paintings. The inventory is items are all pieces from Renaissance paintings. The characters are all from Renaissance paintings, and by which we mean they're collages, right? Like,
Yes.
these are,
They are cut out and put in.
yes. So, you know, every scene you're gonna see a El Greco, and you're gonna see
Mhm.
a Michelangelo and whatever. It's so if you like Renaissance art, it's worth it for that. The
Yeah.
games are really cool and beautiful, and there's always a section of his games where you walk in and every painting he's used is on display like a big art gallery,
That's
and
cool.
you can click on them and the character will make some sort of joke about it,
Mhm.
but you can also just look at the paintings. You can
That's
also just
cool.
it tells you what the name of the painting is, when it was from, who the artist is, and you can just admire these Renaissance paintings. This is pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you are the son of immortal John, and he is dying, and you want his kingdom, and he's making you do a series of tasks
Mhm.
in
Oh,
order to
not
accomplish
just tasks though, like good deeds.
good
You have to
deeds.
do like you have to do like 7 good deeds before he dies or something.
Yeah. Um, and it's got a verb coin. You can look, you can talk, or you can
Yeah.
use your hand. And if you use your hand on people, you just like slap them. And it's always so funny to just walk up to somebody and slap them and see what their reaction is.
Look, I'm not about that anymore. I'm traumatized by putting the shorts in the luau in Stardew Valley and people being so disappointed in me. So I'm not slapping anyone because I don't
Okay.
want them to hate me.
Mostly there's just a funny joke.
It's just a joke.
Like,
Yeah, yeah.
and it looks so absurd because the characters in these games move so crazily.
Yeah.
He's so good at figuring out how to twist and turn these figures so they look as stupid and hilarious as possible at all moments.
Yeah.
I think the humor is like a weird cross between okay, some of this is going to turn people off, but imagine the
Yeah.
good parts of all these things. Like the good parts of South Park combined
Sure.
with the good parts of Monty Python,
Sure.
combined with maybe like the humor sensibilities of, say, like The State, like Wet Hot American Summer, or
Yeah.
those kind of postmodern comedy.
Yeah. So a little bit being pushed to the edge with certain things. It's interesting though because there's also a lot of silly wholesome humor. Like I think the first thing you see upon the screen is like "See you later, nerds" or something just very silly to
Yeah.
put with a Renaissance background, right?
Yeah, there's a lot of slapstick. They're just funny. Like, I don't know what else to say. Humor's subjective, but I can't imagine any human being playing these games and not finding several things to laugh out loud about.
For sure. You know what the most impressive thing to me was though is that it actually is an adventure game. So when I first saw these games a couple years ago, I'm like, what are they? Are they like hidden object, or even kind of lower than hidden object would be like the humongous arts games where you're just clicking on stuff and getting. Did I just say humongous arts?
You did say Humongous Arts, which I believe is your brain combining LucasArts and Humongous Entertainment.
Sure is.
Yeah.
Whatever,
Okay.
same thing. No, they remind me of the Humongous Entertainment stuff where, yes, those are made for children, but they're mostly like you click on something and it gives you like a little screen, a little animation, or a little thingy. So I
Yeah.
thought that's what that was going to be. But upon playing it, there are full settings, full inventory, full ass characters. This is an adventure game. And I found myself getting very attached to
Yeah.
the world that I was in.
And his games are incredibly well designed in the puzzle sense. You're not just going to be walking around picking up use item with other item, use combined item on guy, right? Like you are going to be thinking through a series of, and it's not like I don't find his games very difficult, but
Right.
the way that you play them is interesting, and there's always a huge variety in how you solve the puzzles. Even in this short demo, you solve the puzzles in like a variety of very unique ways.
Yeah. And I like the puzzles. Some of them were a little gross, but I can overlook that for a good game, for balance. I can overlook that if it's balanced. There's
What
one
did
thing
you
I want to
turn?
say though. Go
Yeah,
ahead.
okay. What did you turn the guy's head into?
I did not get that far.
Oh, okay. All right. Sorry.
I'm talking about the milkshake that you give the kid.
I don't remember
the
this.
milk. Did we play different games? I don't think we did.
The milkshake.
The milkshake. The milk that you give one of the kids to make him stop crying. It comes out of a cow. And we're back. We
Okay.
just got something out. We had a little bit of a, what would you call that, Matt?
We had a doubting of reality, I guess, because we both played the same demo, but we don't know if either it got updated in between when we played it, or if there's an optional section or something. But Roses played a whole different part of the game than I did, so we had to like walk through everything we did and be like, wait, I didn't do that.
And we thought that we weren't playing the same game and like something happened. It's okay. Like
we both got an
fine.
ending.
Yeah. No, it's fine. We can still suggest this game. So yes, we had a little kerfuffle, a little mental kerfuffle, and now we're back.
This game rules.
May I say one negative thing? Just one.
No.
No.
Moving on. No. Okay. No. Please do it.
Okay. All right. I was gonna say some of the music drives me insane. That's just me.
Okay, I love the music. Here's the thing: every screen is a different, like, classical Renaissance piece being played on traditional instruments, and every screen in all of Joe Richardson's games has a whole, like, Renaissance band.
Yeah.
That's just there, and you can look at them. And if you look at them, the character just sings along. and there's no dialogue, so it's just like hum da hum da hum hum hum.
Cute.
It's so cute and funny. But I love it. I mean, I think it fits the aesthetic, which I can't imagine you disagree with, right?
I do not disagree with that. It is the right choice. I don't want to hear a pan flute anymore. I don't like regular flutes. Please stop. My eardrums are being perforated. That is personal preference.
Yeah. I mean, I love old ass music, so I enjoy it, but I guess I could see if you don't like it, it is nonstop in every screen of the game.
Yeah.
And every screen of the game has a different band playing a different song, so that is something you might want to think about if you cannot stand Renaissance music.
Yeah, I'm a woman of very poor taste, so just not a fan. Give me some yuck punk. I would do much better with yuck punk.
And with that, I think let's wrap this segment up. Roses.
Yes, Matt.
Do you want to go talk to Julia Minamata about adventure games?
Alone? Yes, I do. Well, see you later.
No, I'm coming. Hold on. Wait.
Hey everyone, we are back. I am here with a very special guest, Julia Minamata. Did I pronounce your name right first of all?
You did. Perfect.
Yay. You might sorry, and Matt's here too.
Hi.
Okay, now that's out of the way.
I'm here. I did 1,000 push-ups during the break.
He's so strong. Julia, did you know that Matt is very physically strong and a good jumper?
That's really impressive.
Thank you. Yeah. Thank you. I'm also very fast, but it's okay that Roses didn't mention that.
Yeah. Well, you got to leave something, to be a surprise,
Yeah.
You got to keep something in your back pocket there. So.
Yeah.
I hope you know that when we go to the adventure game hotspot, I think it's called Fanfare now convention. I hope you know that you need to live up to all of these insane expectations, and I expect you to be very fast.
I'm very fast. I can jump really well. I'm strong.
Yeah. I hope you're on board with that. Anyway, now that that's out of the way, you may recognize Julia because I did a video a while back on her demo. Yeah, for the Crimson Diamond.
So long ago.
It was a while ago, yeah.
Julia, how long have you been working on the Crimson Diamond?
Oh, this question, yeah. Oh, so long, so long,
Just
so
lie. It's
long. You
okay. We
guys.
won't tell.
Oh, okay. If I get to lie, I'll be like
Yeah.
2022. No, but for real, for real, it's been a very long time. And I like to say it's because yeah, it was a hobby before. It was kind of like, oh, pixel
Sure.
art. I'm gonna do some pixel art, da da da, and I did some pixel art, and then I wandered away, and then I wandered back, and I did some more, and then that's kind of how the development happened for the first like 5 years, 5 6 years of just doing
Yeah.
that, with coming back to it. But yeah, like I always pinpoint like November 2018 as the first kind of official time when I started to get serious about it, because I showed it for the first time in Toronto here at an event called Wordplay
Mhm.
at a showcase. So that was the first time I kind of showed what I had publicly, and then from there I kind of focused more on it. So I kind of put 2018, like late 2018, is kind of almost an informal starting point, which is still a long time ago, but that's okay. I've been told,
It is okay.
Yeah.
and I
Art
tell
takes
myself that
time.
too. So
Yeah, I mean, I don't think there's any sort of nobody looks at pieces of art once they're done and says, "Yeah, but how long did it take you to do that?"
I ask that all the time. Well, I ask like people who make games. I don't like go to the
Yeah.
museum and wonder and go to art galleries and like
Right.
I'm
It's
How long
like
wondering.
did that painting take for
Yeah,
real,
the
though?
the Mona
yeah,
Lisa's cool, but do you know it took him 10 years
yeah.
to paint it?
It's far less cool when you know that. Yeah, yeah.
I'm never looking at it again.
No, art takes time, and it is just you are a team of one, right?
Mhm.
Is it just you working on the game?
It is basically me, except I do have a musician working on it with me, Dan Polakar, who's an amazing musician who actually legitimately bought himself a Roland MT32 to compose the actual music on.
That's
Where,
amazing.
yeah, I
Oh,
did not ask him to do that. I would never ask anyone to do that.
Expensive.
He volunteered to do that, on eBay. He got his for like 150 US, I think, which is actually cheaper than they were back in the day because they were
Yeah.
outlandishly expensive back in the day. But
right.
no, I'm so fortunate that Dan is making the music for me because he was so like already totally into like the look of the game, which we'll talk about later. Maybe like it's EGA, so it looks very old
Mhm.
school. It gets to sound old school. We're actually considering releasing an actual MIDI album of the music.
Yes.
So
That's
yes,
awesome.
yeah. So like he's a big part of that, and I'm really super grateful. But yeah, everything else, yeah, is me.
That's amazing. I can't even fathom, like, I'm an artist myself,
Hmm.
and Matt is uh
A very special boy.
a very special boy.
Yes,
He's good at
he's very
jumping.
fast. I hear. Yeah,
He's
you should
very
go. Yeah.
fast. I mean, I think we all have in here an appreciation for the arts,
Yeah.
music, visual arts, gaming, especially. And yeah, it takes a long time. But I want to ask you, how when did you play the Colonel's Bequest for the first time? That's what I want to ask, because look, it's one of my favorite games of all time.
Hmm.
I played it when
Hmm.
I was young. It scared the shit out of me.
Hmm.
I finished it without I think Matt and I talked about this. The first time I played it, I was maybe 11. I did that run where you don't have to do anything and got
Hmm.
the lowest score
Hmm.
possible.
Hmm.
I was so scared to even look around because what I hear you, Matt. I hear you snickering over there. I found it very frightening as an 11-year-old. So what is your experience with the Colonel's Bequest?
Yeah, I was super, super, super scared of it too. I think it's
Yep.
designed to be scary because you stumble in on scenes and the time passes and you're like, wait, no, I didn't want that to happen. Rewind,
Yeah.
rewind.
Right.
Yeah, I think it's kind of almost set up to be that way. And my first memories of it were, I think this is a fairly common story amongst us adventure game folk. Is my dad was part of like one of those software piracy rings at the office where they would
Yeah.
always just swap
Whoa.
games with each other. Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you, Matt. Thank you. Yes. So my dad was in one of those kinds of arrangements where, yeah, they would photocopy the manuals at work, and
Mhm.
Oh,
so that
amazing.
that was my exposure to Colonel's Bequest. It was a bootleg
That's
version of it.
amazing. Did
Yes.
it, as a bootleg, did it run pretty well?
It was totally fine, absolutely fine. Yeah, the I don't know how we did. You know what I actually think? We I think my sister might have come to think of it. I think she actually drew like the little fingerprints and everything so that we'd have them to look at.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's
something like
Julia,
that.
incredible.
Yeah.
Julia, what is the weirdest a game from your childhood like that your dad and his buddies pirated that you've never seen again. And no, like, what's the weirdest one?
The thing is that everything seems. I watch a lot of like retro Twitch streamers and everything, and I feel like
Yeah.
just about everything that I remember from back in the day, I've seen. Like, there's that weird Sierra boxing game that I used to play a lot.
Oh,
That
wow.
had a kangaroo in it and stuff. So
Oh shit, nice.
it's great. I can't believe Sierra published that. That was kind of amazing. But yeah, just about everything under the sun I've seen other people play. But I will say there are so many DOS games that I never played back in the day that I'm getting to actually experience now. Like, I'm playing on my streams an EGA text parser adventure game called Denarius, Avaricius, Sextus.
What? I've never even
You've
heard
made
of
that
that.
up. You've made that
No,
up.
I know. Here's the thing. I thought so too, but it was recommended to me on my stream. Someone said, "Hey, have you played this?" I'm like, "What are you even talking about? I've never heard of it." It's made by it's so cute. Okay, it's made by one of those small team English developers this one's called Thorasoft of Letchworth, and it's made by 4 people with the same last name, like 3 or 4 people, like Mark, Mike, Mandy, and it's really different. So you can control it with arrow keys, but also you can control it with a mouse. And like, as you drag your mouse around, you move your mouse around the screen, and the guy moves along with your cursor. It's like you're the cursor on the screen.
Oh, that's weird.
It's super weird.
Yeah.
No, it's great. It's great. And also there's a boss button that you can put, and then you can have like a graph going up and down. It's great. It's great.
Well,
So
I'm very intrigued.
Button.
Yeah. The boss. You know the boss button. It looks like a spreadsheet or something. So if your boss is
the boss button.
Yeah.
I was not following at all. I was like, wait, you could just fight a boss at any point. No, this is if your boss comes by.
Yeah, it comes by your cubicle. Yeah.
You press the boss button, it's a fake spreadsheet.
But it's so funny now because, of course, now it's like it looks like some DOS application.
Right. You're not fooling anyone. We don't run this.
Yeah, it's been so for me, like the stuff I've remembered back in the day, I've seen all over the place, but it's a joy to discover new stuff that I'd never gotten to play before. And that counts for a lot of other adventure games that I've been discovering recently. Because LucasArts and Sierra, like we've all kind of seen those. But what I love to see is like the 4 people in the UK making this weird little game that I've never seen before. That's the fun thing for me. That's what I enjoy the most right now. And
yeah,
people,
honestly,
you only get to know about that stuff by like word of mouth. Because I'm not gonna. How am I even gonna look that up? I don't even know where to start.
Yeah, no, I think as things have gotten more accessible with GOG, GOG.com, and even Steam to an extent, it's just easy to play adventure games, and there have been really old games that have been newly released that I'm thrilled that I'm like, oh wow, I wanted to play this as a kid. I think I saw this at a Babbage's, and now I get to play it. It is thrilling.
It's like it's literally like finding hidden treasure, like buried treasure, like literally hidden gems. Like, and for me, what I've been kind of enjoying recently in terms of this idea of rediscovering stuff that you never got to really play is we were always a PC household and never had the consoles. I had like Game Boys and stuff like that, but never an actual like NES, SNES, Sega, or anything like that. And recently, like late last year, I bought myself an Ambernick, one of those little like handhelds that you can load a bunch of ROMs on.
Oh,
so
cool.
So I finally got to play, the adventure games from like NES, like Deja Vu. I've got Deja Vu.
Nice.
Yes. And Uninvited, all these things. I cannot wait to discover this whole world of adventure games that I've never really had access to. And thanks to how things are now, we do have access to just about everything.
I know there's a lot of Amiga games that never really made it over to PC that I haven't played. But when you go to like one of those abandonware websites, there's just so many games that you're like, they just look like the point and clicks we all loved at the time, but you've never heard of any of them.
Yeah, it's the best. It's the absolute best. I actually played recently. I do stream on Tuesdays, and tonight's a Tuesday. I'll be streaming tonight. I've been streaming like games I've never played before from back in the day, and one of them was Cruise for a Corpse by Delphine.
Cruise for a Corpse. That was one I found on Home of the Underdog.
Yes, I listened to your first episode. Yes, there was like Home of the Underdog. Wasn't there something called Happy Puppy, or I don't know. There's a bunch of like old sites.
Happy Puppy sounds familiar. Cruise for a Corpse was also one that I got in one of those old abandonware sites back in the day.
Yep.
Never beat it. It's a tough game, or I'm dumb.
No. It's almost impossible. I did play it.
Okay, good.
It takes a village to play these games, I like to say, because I'm just getting help. People are like consulting like
Mhm.
playthroughs while I'm on stream. I'm like, help me.
Yeah.
Because sometimes there's not even a walkthrough. Like the game I'm playing right now, there is no walkthrough for this game. Like there are a few long plays that you can find on YouTube, but yeah,
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 it happens. It
yeah.
happens. When I started doing computer games for YouTube, that was back in 2013. Oh my God, we're all very old.
Mhm.
Um, when I started doing that, I would play games that I very much wanted to review, but there's no walkthrough.
Yeah.
And it was just impossible to get there. I remember, I don't know if you guys are familiar with this game. I think it is out for purchase now. It's called Personal Nightmare.
Oh my gosh. Okay,
What?
yes.
No.
I've played that. I finished it. It
You
is one of
finished
the
it?
yeah, oh my gosh, Roses, it is almost impossible. It might be the hardest game that I've like finished on my channel. Yes. So
I'm
please share
so
your
over it.
experience. Share your experience with Personal Nightmare.
I wanted to do a review on it. I had remembered it because it was on some kind, as when I was younger, it was on some kind of collection that
Mhm.
I had. And I refound it later. And I'm trying to find cool stuff for my channel, for my new
Mhm.
gaming thing. And I'm like, I started with Toonstruck. I thought that was kind of cool. And then I just wanted to hit some of before I got into Sierra and LucasArts, I wanted to hit some of those obscure things. So I went back to Personal
Mhm.
Nightmare. And my God, I tried streaming it with an audience. We could not do
Yeah.
it. We all
Yeah.
found the same awful walkthrough that got us nowhere.
Yeah.
And I think what happened is I got myself into an unwinnable and then I rage quit.
Yeah.
You can rage quit adventure games, people.
It's allowed.
It's allowed.
You're allowed to. They don't come find you.
Yeah. Yeah. They don't. But yeah, no, okay, Personal Nightmare, there were a couple places where I nearly did give up. And I had to leave it for a little bit. There was a part where you have to crash a car into a tree.
That's
And
right.
I watched Let's Plays. Like, well, there was two different Let's Plays I was watching. One was not even the same. Like, I think one was the Amiga version and one was not.
Mhm.
And the one that was the same version I had no commentary at all, so they weren't even explaining what they were doing. And I
Oh
even
God.
with the benefit of watching two different versions of someone playing it and succeeding, I almost could not finish that part.
All
And
right,
then
Matt, you need to get on this so you know what we're talking about.
Yeah, I'll play.
play the whole thing. Play the whole
Here,
Personal
thing.
yeah, if
Nightmare.
you guys don't mind just waiting a
Yeah,
minute,
yeah,
I
yeah.
gotta.
Not
Pause.
Matt. Not now. Not now.
Too late.
Reel it in.
It's already loaded up.
Wow, that's quick.
I'm very fast.
It's
You
very
might have heard.
fast.
Yeah.
That's Matt's
Um,
artistic talent.
Uh,
I've never played. I don't know if I've played any of the horror soft games.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that's
mhm,
HorrorSoft, the
mhm.
company. What they did the Elvira games is
Yes, they did.
Julia, is Personal Nightmare technically part of the Elvira series?
It is not. It is
Okay,
not, but I mean, yeah, definitely made by the same people. And I've never played the Elvira stuff, but yeah. I've got a clip of me like the moment I finished Personal Nightmare, and I will share that with you later.
okay.
Like it is the most, it's the most cathartic moment of maybe of my entire life. It was literally the last like command I had to type in, and I just couldn't figure out what was wrong, why it wasn't working.
Yeah.
And yeah, and it's one of those ones where it's almost better that when you finish a game like that, where it doesn't have much fanfare when you finish it. It's just like, okay, you're done, and then that's
It's
it.
just
It just
done.
quits. And you're like, after all that
Like
build up,
back to the command prompt. There you go.
yeah, yeah, it's basically like that, which just makes it funnier to me because of all the
That is
struggle
funny.
involved.
That's amazing. Have you guys heard of the game? And maybe I think this is sort of an adventure game, but it's called Rome Pathway to Power. You guys familiar with that one?
No,
No.
no.
Okay, this is a how do I describe this game? I would call it action adventure. It's weird. Feel free to look up screen caps. My brother had it when I was very young, and I just couldn't get enough of watching him play. It was like an
Okay.
early Let's
Mhm.
Play before that was a thing. It was the most difficult game.
Back when you actually
What is
had to say to somebody, "Hey, let's play.
yeah, you had to
Hey,
say it. Yeah,
let's
this.
play this together." Yeah.
So I watched him play it, and then it kind of got lost in the recesses of my brain for a long time, and then it came back as a retro game person. So I played it. Hardest game I've ever played. So difficult. However, I have a clip saved on my stream. You can watch it where I beat like the hardest level on accident. It's totally a fluke. Didn't mean to do it. But man, it is so satisfying when you get through those like impossible moments.
Yep.
Did you, you know, in like, I think sometimes these games were easier originally, or they weren't meant to be beaten, but
they just weren't meant to be
beaten. I'm struck, like, I'm remembering, have you guys played Seventh Guest anytime since like 1995?
Yes, for a review.
I have not. I played it a little bit, and I was just like, not my thing. I'm like,
it's a bad game. No, it's
not my thing. If you want to hear me rant, Seventh Guest.
It's a bad game. 11th Hour is probably the worst, like literally the worst video game I've played in my life. But
I thought people liked that more. I thought.
Oh my god, we could talk about it sometime.
All right.
It will take up the rest of the episode if I start going into it here. But there is a sequence where you play. I guess it's like basically Chinese checkers with against the computer.
Oh, you're talking about Attacks, the game Attacks. That's what the original game is called. That the game was doing it. Go on though.
Okay, yeah, no, I don't know. It's one of those games where you have marbles and you're playing against somebody and you have to jump their marbles. And if it was based on the like its logic process was based on the speed of your processor. So if you played it anytime after say 1995. It was so smart that it was literally unbeatable. You could only beat it if you were using another computer that would counter its moves, and you got lucky.
Yeah, that's true. That is true. Yeah, remember when like computer speeds were a thing? Like I had found later in life, maybe my early teens, I found Quest for Glory 1. True story, I played Quest for Glory 5, the first Quest for Glory game I played, but later, later I played Quest for Glory 1, and my computer was too fast. Do you remember that slowdown program that was out there?
No.
Damn. Okay, so I don't know if my poor computer. I downloaded a CPU slowdown program that would slow the computer down so I could play Quest for Glory 1, so I could get past something at the end. Isn't that nuts? Man, I feel like I don't have to worry about that anymore.
No, you don't. Unless, you want to play on like old hardware with an original copy or something. But no. Thankfully, they've kind of fixed all that. And in DOSBox, you can cycle down and up and whatnot.
Right. Yeah, DOSBox has been a lifesaver. And ScumVM too, which can now run everything.
Yeah, ScumVM just does everything now. And it takes care of all that for you. Yeah, that's really great.
So Matt, I have a question just only for Matt, since Julia said that Personal Nightmare was one of the hardest games she'd ever played. Me too, and Rome Pathway to Power. Matt, what is the hardest game you've ever played where you're just like you need to like rage quit?
There's so many. There's so many of these old like Cruise for a Corpse is one that I was just like I can't get it. And I stopped playing. Obviously, I quit Myst a million times. Myst. Actually, I have that triumphant moment that you guys are talking about with the games you played. I was on a flight to the Dominican Republic, and I had put Myst on ScumVM on my phone. And I was like, I'm going to focus on this thing.
Oh, dear.
And I'm going to, without a walkthrough, try and beat Myst with the power of my own brain.
Oh my gosh.
And I ended up playing for the first half of this like beautiful resort vacation I was taking with my then girlfriend. I ended up spending so much time playing Myst on my phone. And then about halfway through, I got through. I beat it. I beat it with no walkthrough. I beat the whole.
I don't believe you.
I beat the whole game.
No.
Yeah. Beat all of Myst with no walkthrough. And it was the most triumphant moment. And obviously no one was going to share that with me. I was like, oh my God, I beat Myst. And my girlfriend was like, okay, cool. I was like, no, you don't understand.
She doesn't understand. She didn't understand the weight of that.
of being in like the early 1990s and opening
Yeah.
Myst and being like, I don't even know how to get across the island right now. Like, I don't know what any of this is for.
Yeah.
And then beating it and being like, I have achieved something in life. And then your girlfriend just going like, okay, anyway, do you want to go to the buffet or?
You want to go to the buffet now or? Yeah, I've never gotten off the first island on Myst.
Nope.
I didn't know there was more.
Nope.
I think
Well,
I got Myst as I got Myst as a young person. I don't know if you guys feel this way, but I find first person adventure games frightening. And Myst was so lonely with like no characters that I kind of didn't like atmosphere pretty great. I will say I will give that to Myst. But I felt scared. I didn't want to click on anything. I was terrified.
I just remembered another game that I did rage quit, and I can't remember the name of it. Tell me if you guys know this one. It is it's not an American studio.
Okay.
It is a 3D game. It came on like 12 CD-ROM discs, and you were a weird grandma. Do you guys have any idea what I'm talking about? And she kept
I need more than that.
She kept all her inventory items in her bra, and she was in this surreal landscape. I think all her family got kidnapped and her house got pulled into another dimension. And
what are you talking about? What are you talking about?
This absolutely exists.
It doesn't even sound familiar, I'm afraid.
No.
Yeah. This was from the early 90s, and I think my stepmom had it for some very strange reason, and I started playing it, and it's incredibly difficult. And I played it again as an adult, and I still don't remember the name of it. I played it again as an adult, and it is even like the further in you get, the more it's just like it's that moon logic, right? It's this idea of like, how on earth would I have ever imagined that those two things would have that function?
Yeah, I will try. I mean, hopefully somebody listening will recognize the words that you are saying and will know what you're talking about, because now I'm a little curious. And Kai, this is going to be a very loose segue. But speaking of like surreal, I'm sorry, Matt, did you have
No, I'm so sorry. I'm sorry to interrupt your incredibly good segue that we all were waiting for. But so I started Googling all the words that I just said to you guys.
Oh boy.
I found somebody on Reddit who's looking for the exact same thing. And he says, it's an old 3D graphics, and you play as an old woman / grandma to a family of animal abusers or something.
What?
Then one day, a rabbit, or a humanized and sized rabbit in a suit, if I remember correctly, comes to steal recipe of hers and ends up scattering the family all over this crazy world. Armed and Delirious is the name of the game.
Oh, okay, let's see this.
You guys have to pull it. Yeah. Even just looking at the grandma is the most unhinged experience you've ever had.
What is this?
Because she's made of like polygon, like in the early days of 3D animation, everything was like weird shapes randomly stuck together.
Oh my god, this is the weirdest. What? I need to play this, to be honest with you. I need to play this.
Okay. I want to hear some more about Julia's love of adventure games and Crimson Diamond, but maybe the three of us need to do an episode of this podcast in the future where we all play Armed and Delirious.
Oh my god.
It's amazing. I've never seen this. I can't, wow.
I'm shocked.
It's unfathomable. You look at it and you just have no idea what you're seeing.
That art style is crazy. Anyway, my segue, speaking about art, it's a very loose segue. How did you learn pixel art, Julia? Because that's something I have kind of a little bit of an interest in. I don't know if you guys saw, but I did a pretty good pixelated oddish one time.
Okay. Ooh.
Yeah, pretty exciting. So it was not easy. How did you learn pixel art?
How did I learn pixel art? All I did was I just pulled up some Sierra screenshots, I guess, and finding
Oh.
out what resolution they were working in. That kind of was a lot of it, because that dictates, how big the squares are and then how much detail you can get in.
Mhm.
And I always loved the EGA art to begin with in all those Sierra games. And so that started me off, okay, well, that's the palette, that's the resolution. And then there were just so many screens, like screenshots of Colonel's Bequest and Space Quest and just about
Yeah.
anything, that I just started to look at how these things were done. And it's actually, I think pixel art is a pretty good starting point of learning. If anyone wants to learn how to do art or to draw or to make art for games, I think it's a really great starting point, because it is fairly simplified, and you can actually look at those old screens and see exactly what was done. Okay, well, that pixel goes there, and then it's that
Mhm.
color, and here's how the light and shadow works in them. And from there, I was able to just start generating my own screens, really.
That's
And
awesome.
and the thing is, and when I just started out, I was like, oh, this doesn't look too bad. Well, the thing is, I feel like if you use the color palette and you use the resolution already, you're going to be like, okay, this looks like a game from back then, because there was a
Yeah.
broad range of styles of even EGA, like different studios have different styles, but different people have different styles. And it already kind of gets encouraging at the very start when you do that, because you're like, okay, yeah, this looks like it could have been in a real game, and then the imagination
Yeah.
starts going. And that is kind of how I started with like rooms. I wanted to make little rooms, like the kitchen and the living room. I was thinking about
Yeah.
the clue board, so I took out my clue board and started being like, well, yeah. I mean, what else do they have in a clue board? There's a conservatory, so that's why there's conservatory in my lodge, which is why it has the
Oh, I
same,
love that.
like the
I
green and
I
yellow tiles.
I'm so into it. A Clue is one of my favorite things
Hmm.
ever.
Hmm.
So I'm very much, if I see like a conservatory or like a study or
Yes,
billiard room, I
yes.
lose my shit.
Yeah. No, I get really excited. And like the reason I put a billiard room in my game at all is like there's a billiard room on the clue board, and I don't know why there's a billiard room in my game. And it wasn't a game. It was just like I'm making rooms and stuff. I don't know. And then when I started making game, I'm like, oh man, I gotta do something with this billiard room. Else people are gonna be like, why is there a billiard room? And like, I don't know.
I
So
don't know.
I eventually came up with a reason why that is there. That's a lot of what is in the game. Like reasons are kind of backwards, where I made something just for the heck of it. And I'm like, okay, I need to rationalize this and make this useful, or else people are going to have questions.
What
Yeah.
Um, yeah.
what point did you decide you were making a game and not just a bunch of scenes and characters?
Yes. It snuck up on me. It really snuck up on me. Like I didn't expect at all to be to be where I am with it today at all. Like if I had thought about, okay, well, I'm going to make this thing, it's going to be like 70 plus rooms, and it's going to be like a 10-hour game, I wouldn't have even started probably. It's too daunting of an idea. It
Right.
was just
Mhm.
like step by step. I'm like, okay, well, here I made a little kitchen. The kitchen in the lodge is like the second room I ever made as pixel art. That's my first room was like kind of a disaster, like in terms of scale. Like everything
Mhm.
was too big for any characters and anything. I looked at the scale of the characters from Sierra games, like, yeah, this scale is completely off that I just made. But my second room, yeah, was better. My second room was the kitchen, and then I made other rooms. I'm like, oh, this is kind of nice, but I'd like there to be a character, because I need to make this to scale. I need to make the counters be the right height and the cupboards be the right
Mhm.
height. So let's make a little character. So I made a little character, and then I'm like, oh, that's nice. But it would be cool. How cool would it be if, she could like walk around in the room, and then she could walk behind the furniture, just like in those games. And so I picked up Adventure Game Studio, having seen Francisco Gonzalez of the Ben
Mhm.
Jordan series, and now of Lamplight City, Rosewater, and Golden
Yeah, he's
Wake.
amazing. Love
He's
it.
amazing, and
We love Francisco
Yeah,
over here.
oh,
I love it. Yeah, his games are great.
he's one of the huge reasons why I even started making adventure games, is because I saw hit like let's plays of her. Crabbiness had these let's plays on YouTube, and I was watching, and I'm like, this one guy made all this. Like this is an
Yeah.
actual game, right? Like people, you can move around and talk to people. And so I started to slowly teach myself Adventure Game Studio. Just be like, oh, I just want to, okay, well, wouldn't it be nice if there was a door to this room and she could open and close it? Yeah, so I slowly, very slowly started doing all that stuff, and then making more rooms, and like, okay, I need a hallway, and I started to pick away at it bit by bit. And then I started asking myself questions like, well, yeah, I'm furnishing this house, so what kind of furniture is in this house? Like what is the time period that this house is going to be in? Because then
Yeah.
I'm going to look for reference of what kind of furniture I would have. And then I started to kind of slowly germinate like a story in my head about why is this lodge here, and who lives in it. So yeah, that's another thing. What kind of rooms you're going to have? Who lives in this? How many people live here? And it slowly kind of built up to being like a little story that I started to expand upon. But yeah, it's not generally how people go about building stuff, I think. Like
Yeah.
usually people have an idea of what they're making before they start, which I did not.
I think a lot of people kind of fall into it though. I really do. Like I think a lot of people like unintentionally start making something more grand than they intended. It sounded like you really snowballed. Like
It did. It
started out
totally,
with pixel
yeah.
art, turned into a game.
Yeah, it snowballed because I'm like, okay, well, like here's this lodge, and you can walk around the rooms, but like, what's outside the lodge? And like, okay, well, what's outside the lodge, and how many screens are that going to be? Well, yeah, should there be like a shed? Oh, gazebos are nice. I'm making a gazebo, and it
Gazebos
just
are
yeah,
nice.
gazebos are nice, and so yeah, it just slowly it literally did just snowball into something that was like, oh. When I showed it in 2018, it was basically the chapter 1 demo of that's on Steam right now. It was
Mhm.
basically that what I showed. I mean, much in a much rougher state, but that was basically what it was. And people seemed to really like it, and people would see it and then put a smile on their face, and that was really,
Ah,
I it had been kind of just in my head the whole time. I'd never really shown anybody, but to know that people were interested and excited, like, totally lit a fire under me to expand upon it. And I just started from there. I was like, okay, well, so I got like the crimsondiamond.com, and I
nice.
started to do all the social media stuff and everything very, very slowly over time. And yeah, it was just to get that type of reception to something that you've just been working on is, I mean, of course, I'm sure you feel the same when you put out a video and you get, people commenting about how much they enjoyed it or how much they remember that episode or how they identify with it. Like, it's huge. It's so
Yeah.
nice to have
Oh
that
yeah.
connection.
It's getting feedback on like a hobby turned passion project
Hmm.
is amazing.
Hmm.
And I love the demo. I can't wait. I'm so excited.
Oh, thank
We
you.
need more female, first of all, more female developers, but more awesome female protagonists.
Yeah.
Like Laura Bow, right, Matt? I don't think Matt agrees with me on this
Well,
at all.
no,
Oh.
the idea is the problem. I don't know why.
Tell us more,
I don't know
Matt,
why
about.
Roses calls me out like this. I didn't play because she knows that I have not played Dagger of Amon-Ra,
Mhm.
where
How dare you?
this comes up every episode, Julia. I don't.
This is like episode 2.
This is this is the third episode we've recorded, and everyone so far. So I even think she brought it up in her trailer, and I had to cut it out.
What? Well, maybe.
In Colonel's Bequest, she doesn't have much of a character, right?
Mhm.
She's just kind of an avatar for the player.
Mhm.
Everybody else has the personalities and drive the story, and you just
That's
kind
true.
of walk around and experience it. So in Dagger of Amon-Ra, as I understand it, she is a character, and she has a whole personality, and she has a job and a story, and I haven't played that yet. So I don't
And a
dislike
romance.
so I don't dislike Laura Bow as a character. I just have not experienced the character of Laura Bow yet, because she doesn't really exist in Colonel's Bequest besides her look.
Yeah, like I would 100% agree with you on that observation. And in fact, I just recently completed like a collaborative let's play of Laura Bow 1, A Colonel's Bequest. I'm on this this YouTube thing called the Level Zero NPCs, and they've been
Okay.
doing let's plays of Sierra games for like years and years, like 7 or 8 years. And I just
Oh, wow.
recently joined them. And because they hadn't got around to Colonel's Bequest, so we're hoping to do. We did Colonel's Bequest. We're working on Dagger of Amon-Ra now, and hopefully, when we're finished Dagger of Amon-Ra, we can segue like right into Crimson Diamond or something.
Yeah.
But
Wow.
we kind of had this whole joke about Laura Bow in the first game, where she's kind of like a non-person almost. Like we kind of joke that because the way that she dies, like when the chandelier crushes her, and like when she walks into the swamp and it instantly dissolves, we kind of joke that she's made of cake, like she's like a cake golem. Because also the way that the way that the axe kind of slices her, so so we kind of made like she's just like a cake golem that was animated by John Bow, and she kind of just wanders the plantation. And that's why people don't want to talk to her or engage with her, because
She's cake.
they're kind of creeped out by her. And
she
she's
could
just
be on the show. Is it cake?
Yeah, she could be on the show as a cake, and she would like be cake. She would, she's sweating through her fondant, glaze, and it's just really unsettling. And she just breathes warm oven temperature cake air in people's faces, and she has little currant eyes. That's how we kind of felt about her during that game. But definitely in the Dagger of Amon-Ra, she has a lot more personality. Just even to do with the voice. So we do the little silly little voices, of course. In Laura Bow 1, there's barely any of her saying anything really out loud.
That's true.
And,
That's true.
Bodega Valmonera, like I've really had to like polish up my southern accent, and it's just, woo.
Yeah.
It is fun. She's fun in the game, but I mean, of course, my heart's gonna always be with Laura Bow in the first game because of it's that beautiful setting, the beautiful
Yeah.
EGA graphics. So even though I can understand that it's not like the most amazing game, like adventure game I've ever played, like it's always gonna be, you guys talked about in the previous episode, at least episode 1, about how that some games like Roses, you're saying King's Quest 3, where
Yeah.
that it's not like the best game, but there's just something about it that just holds a special place in your heart.
Yeah, it has an impact. I
Yeah.
think the Colonel's Bequest is very impactful,
Yeah.
just in terms of time constraints and murder mystery and just interrogation and eavesdropping. I think it really did cool things.
Mhm.
I actually preferred Dagger.
Mhm.
My fans know this. I love that game like
Mhm.
so much. Again, another game that scared the crap out of me as a kid. It's one of those games that looks very friendly and it looks nice and funny. But then it's very gory and kind of tense.
Who's doing all the murders in Colonel's Bequest? Not the other, like, we get an answer to that at the end of the game, but who's doing all the murdering of Laura throughout the game? Because it doesn't seem to fit with anybody's plans, right?
I've thought about that myself. I assume, and you guys can feel free to disagree, I assume it's Lily, her friend, Lillian.
It doesn't... Wouldn't that ruin Lillian's entire scheme, though? It's not like she just wants... Like, why would she want Laura dead?
Because Laura's snooping, and she's like, I gotta figure out some stuff.
Except for if the first thing you do is take a shower, she'll kill you. She's like, I hate showerers.
Death to hygiene. Honestly, I think then we can kind of go back, because the shower scene is reminiscent of Psycho. So I think we can maybe assume that she is just a psychopath.
Okay.
And maybe that's the reason. There is no reason. She's gone a little bit unhinged due to the relationship with her grandpa and the rest of her family, and maybe she's just a little unhinged.
I would love to see what happens in any adventure game stories after the character dies. Right? like how would the Laura Bow thing have turned out had Laura Bow just died in the shower at first? And then everyone would have been like, well, that girl's covered in blood. Like, that was a very brutal and vicious murder. We know who the murderer is.
Yeah. That would be interesting, actually. I would love to know how those stories progress.
Like, how does Uncharted happen when just, like, 10 minutes in, Nathan Drake falls to his death?
That is a good call. So I think we've been recording for a while, so I think we need to wrap soon.
Sure.
Matt, I want to throw it to you. Do you have any questions? Because Matt recently played your demo. Do you have any questions for Julia?
I have just, like, a nerdy question about the art. What program do you use?
I use Photoshop, which is like the most boringest answer. But I will say that if anyone wants to start doing just pixel art, there's so many like apps or programs that are either cheap or free that are not only going to be just as good as Photoshop for pixel art. Pixel art and Photoshop is kind of overkill. Like I'm used to using Photoshop because I was a freelance illustrator for 10 years, and so I used Photoshop. I still use Photoshop every day of my life, and I'm just really used to it now. And that's one of the reasons why I stick with it. But of course, there's Aseprite is great, and it has like pixel art features that Photoshop does not have. So yeah, Aseprite is already a better featured pixel art program, and you can sometimes get it on sale. It just recently went on 50% off, so I'm not sure if it's still on sale. But yeah, like sometimes you can get it, $20. I think I paid $15, I think, for it at some time. So I do have, and I have used it. It's really good. But there's plenty. I have something called Medibank Paint on my tablet, which is really good, which is also free. You have that one, Roses?
Yes, I do.
Yeah, that one's great. And also you can buy like a paid version for I bought it once for like $5 or something, where you can actually get some layer options, and you can save out as a PSD, and you can open up in Photoshop if you want. So I do have that one as well, but that was just a one-time payment.
So then if you use Photoshop, like do you when you do dithering is there like a tool for that, or do you just literally
No.
go in and click pixels?
Yeah, well, yeah, you do. But then what I have is I have a bunch of like 300 by 320 by 200 like layers, which are just the checkerboard, and I can like change out the colors. So it's gonna be
Okay.
Oh,
black
cool.
checker checks, and then like transparent. The other squares are transparent, and so yeah, I just keep a bunch of those, and then I just use layer masks to block out what I don't want to be showing and stuff. So yeah, like
It's
that's
amazing.
very very useful when you're doing dithering, is to have the ability to have layer masks is definitely a key for pixel art.
You ever notice that we all use Photoshop for not its intended purposes because we're all used to Photoshop?
Yeah, they know it too.
They know it, yeah.
Well,
I've been learning pixel art on Procreate. I'm not sure I recommend it for character design and stuff like that,
Okay.
but I am learning how to do like backgrounds and things of that nature in
Interesting.
Procreate. Just
I
if you
hear
want to have a
amazing
fun little
things
thing
about
to do.
Procreate. I've never tried it.
I
Yeah,
got
I love it.
so used to doing art, and this is by its own nature pixel art. I got so used to doing art on Microsoft Paint that
Nice.
now when I buy a new computer, I have to go like search for the old versions of Microsoft Paint
Oh,
because it's changed. It's changed
Mhm.
so completely.
yeah.
And no longer is based on a grid of pixels that you color in.
Yeah. I know game devs who use Microsoft Paint to make their art, so it's totally, absolutely valid. Anything's valid completely, and there's no need. Don't spring for any expensive subscription or any expensive piece of
Yeah.
software to do pixel art. It's absolutely not necessary, and that's kind of the beauty of it. Is the upfront cost is very little. Like if you use Adventure Game Studio, that's a free software. It's open source. You can just make a game. You can sell it. You don't have to worry about licensing or anything. Yeah, it's really really wonderful.
That's awesome.
Well-
I'm so inspired right now. Go ahead, Matt. I'm very inspired.
Well, Julia, thanks so much for coming on and chatting with us about adventure games.
Oh, you're welcome.
Now, I'm not going to ask when the Crimson Diamond is coming out. That would be impolite of me. That would be such imposition
Oh my
on
god.
your goodwill that you showed on coming onto the show. So I'm not even going to ask when the Crimson Diamond's coming out.
This year.
It is?
Yeah.
Don't tease me, Julia. Do not tease me.
I you know what? I'm pretty sure. Like I've said probably this year like 4 years in a row, but I honestly think that it will come out this year. Like right now, I am just about to send off alpha version 2.0 to my testers probably sometime this week. So the game is playable from beginning to end.
Oh, holy cow, that's amazing.
Yes. And I
I'm
did my
so
first round
excited.
of feedback. So I just got I fixed a ton of bugs, and now I just have some assets I need to update for the full game. And like the music is all done, the music is implemented. I'm like really close to being able to declare it finished. So yeah.
I am
congratulations.
so excited. That's
Thank
incredible.
you.
That's
Thank
really
you.
great. And obviously, listeners, if you haven't heard of the Crimson Diamond, obviously go check it out.
Yeah,
Please
you
wish
should be
list on
feeling
Steam.
inspired.
Please wishlist on Steam if you want to. There's the demo is available on Steam as well. It's also available on itch.io and on a site called Fireflower Games. But yeah, the Steam of course is the big one for launch. Like the wish listing is a huge deal for indies, and it helps us to make sure that we have a good launch with a lot of visibility on the Steam store page.
Hell yeah! And
Perfect.
also, you stream. Do you want to
I
tell
do.
everyone where they can find you?
Of course, yeah. I stream every Tuesday at 8 p.m. Eastern for Crimson Tuesdays, and you can find that at _Maple Mystery on Twitch. And so what we do with those is I don't do any spoiler stuff or anything, so don't worry about getting any aspect of the game spoiled for you. I only work on upgrading the intro art, because the intro art, if you do download the demo and you watch the intro, there's some art that looks very crude, and I've just been going through and updating that over the period of the past like 3 years since I've been streaming. So don't worry about spoilers. When I do an art stream, I do art, and then I do a let's play. So one of the let's play games I did on stream was Personal Nightmare. I did Mortville Manor, High Seas Homicide, like a bunch of like. I've been sticking to EGA adventure games, and that's kind of like my thing. So so if you're interested in watching any EGA adventure games happen, that happens at the tail end of an art stream. But sometimes Dan is available to come on. Like Dan tours a lot, so we don't get him that often. Like Dan is he's in Sean Paul's band. He's been in Sean Paul's band for the past like 13 years or something.
Wow.
So Dan just came back from Australia, and so I got to have him on like last Tuesday. So that was nice. But a lot of the time Dan also does a ton of other stuff. He teaches, he composes for other things and everything. So he's super busy. But when we can have Dan on, like we basically recorded and composed almost every track for the Crimson Diamond live on stream.
What? That's so fun.
Yeah, and so we take people's feedback, like, oh, should this be faster? Should this be slower? What instrumentation do you like, and everything. And so that was a lot of fun. I'm not now that the soundtrack is finished, I'm not sure what we're like. Last week, like we did I did some graphic design for the MIDI album on like a 3.5-inch diskette. I did some design stuff for that, but I still like there's still room for some tracks if Dan wants to compose more tracks for the actual game. But yeah, so sometimes it's a music stream and we'll do some of that, but I usually warm up with some art in the first place too. So it's a really fun hangout time to just it's been doing for the past 3 years. So it's
that's great. I will stop by because I love art and I love EGA games. That's like
perfect.
That's my thing.
yes. No, it's of course 100% my thing too. So it's definitely my happy place to be.
That's great. Oh, I can't wait. I really can't wait, Julia. I was so stoked when somebody slid me the Crimson Diamond on Twitter, I think it was. And I have been excited I'm a very excitable person, if you haven't noticed. Like I will get excited at anything. So I am like hyper excited for this game. And thank you so much for talking to us about games and your experiences. I do feel inspired. So thank you so much.
Oh, good. And I want to thank you guys too. Thank you, first of all, Roses, when you did that. I was shocked beyond words when you did the video about Crimson Diamond way back when. I was just like, that was another thing where I tell you, like the reception of it has been so positive, and you were a part of that. I'm like, oh my gosh, like I watched you for years, and it just like I can't believe you made a video for it, and it was just a big deal to me. So I want to say thank you for that.
Oh, you're very welcome. I plan to review the whole thing, so you can look forward to the whole game. Yeah,
and also with this podcast you and Matt are doing, just thank you so much again for supporting and celebrating adventure games, and for supporting and celebrating indie adventure game developers. That's a huge deal for all of us, and it's so much appreciated.
Of course.
Yeah, we love doing it. We love adventure games, and we love Julia Minamata. So thanks again for coming on the show. Thank you, Julia, for coming on the show. Everybody go check out the Crimson Diamond. I had so much fun talking about trailers with you, Roses. Not trailers, demos.
Thank you. And trailers too, because some of them I did watch. Yeah,
you watched some trailers. I had so much fun talking about upcoming games. This whole episode was about upcoming games, and I'm stoked.
I got a little excited in the third segment. I don't know if that's annoying or what's going to happen when I listen to that back, but I'm stoked. I'm inspired. I'm excited.
It's nice. It's nice to talk to somebody who inspires you. And I am if half of these games come out this year, this is going to be an incredible year for adventure games. And I'm really glad to be doing this podcast and having a place to talk about this stuff with everybody.
Yeah. But more so with me, your friend, pushing up roses.
My friend, pushing up roses. So,
Matt, I have a question for you.
Yeah.
And the audience. What say you and I perhaps do a Let's Play on one of these upcoming games that we just talked about?
Yeah, I'd love it.
Look, people have been begging. A couple people have been begging for a Let's Play. And I thought I would invite you to do it so that we could, I don't know, have something for the YouTubes, for the channel.
Yeah, that would be great.
And then everybody can see what a great gamer you are.
Thank you. Keep tabs on our social media and Pushing Up Roses YouTube channel for that. So thank you all for listening. Remember to keep sending us emails. Ask us your adventure game question. Ask us for adventure game advice. That might be fun. Ask us, your deepest, darkest questions about adventure gaming.
Whoa.
Send us emails at mattandroses@gmail.com. We also want to announce we are now part of the Adventure Game Hotspot Network.
Woohoo!
we're really proud to be a part of them. There's all sorts of good stuff on the Adventure Game Hotspot Network, YouTube channels, podcasts, and the Adventure Game Hotspot website, which you can sometimes see a review on a video game from me there. They are also
the Matt Ocamp.
The Matt Ocamp. You can see his writing. They also just launched a Kickstarter for the Adventure Game Fanfare, which is the first ever adventure game fan convention to happen in the United States. It's going to be taking place in Tacoma, Washington, July 27th and 28th of this year. You can go to adventuregamehotspot.com and find the Kickstarter, find all the information about it there.
Perfect.
Anything else we want to talk about before we dip?
So about Stardew Valley.
Okay, so
I just wanted to.
Thank you guys all for listening. Next episode, I think we'll be talking about the excavation of Hobbs Barrow. So make sure you've played and get ready for some of that. We'll probably be spoiling some things in that episode.
Do you remember our sign out?
Podcast is art.
Is art. Art
is suffer.